Well, hello there everyone, and welcome back to the Spigot coding series. In today's episode, we are going to expand on what we did last episode, on last Friday. Last time we expanded upon our custom join message by also giving the player a first time equipment when they join. And today I'm going to expand on this even further, since we've created this bunny hop item the last time. Today I'm actually going to make it functioning by giving it a right click ability that makes you leap into the direction you're currently looking. So let's waste no time, let's get instantly started. First of all, I want to create a new class, and I'm going to call this Item Interaction Listener. In here, of course, I need to implement the listener again, otherwise this class is not going to listen to anything. And I'm going to start off with a new event handler and a method called public void. Let's do on custom item click. Event that we need to listen to here is the player interact event. So what is the player interact event? The player interact event is any time the player launches a left click or right click event. There's also, if you check here, if action equals to action dot, there's also a physical action here. This is pretty much just if you were to trample a field, for example, like a wheat crop or something, then it fires the physical event. Otherwise, there's only left click air, left click block, right click air, and right click block. So one more thing that I need to mention about this event though, this event basically fires 2 times, because there's a if e.getHand in here. It fires once for the main hand and for the offhand. And since we only want this to actually trigger once, the first thing I want to do, if the hand that has been triggering the event is not the main hand, you can see there's either hand or offhand, I just want to do nothing. Because if I do not add this to this method right here, this event will be triggered twice, which might or will definitely lead to unwanted consequences. So next up, I only want this to happen if the player actually right clicks. We can easily check this by doing if get action. You can do this 2 ways. Either you can check both right click events by if get action is not right click air and action is not right click block, and then you return this. Or you can just do this the simple way by typing if get action dot name contains left. So if any left click event is triggered right here, you just return the code and do nothing again. Now next up, we actually want to check which item the player is clicking with. So I'm going to cast the, first of all, let me create a player right here. Player P is the event's player, and the item stack item is the P get inventory, and then we can do get item in main hand. You can also, for example, do this for only the offhand. If you want this, for example, to be a ability item that you have to hold in your offhand that triggers certain events, but I actually want this to be in the main hand. So now what we have to do is really simple. We just need to check if the item equals to, and then we can, for item utils class, we can just take this right here. If this equals to item utils dot the banner hop item, I'm sorry, if this does not equal to, we do nothing. And now we have basically achieved, if the player is right clicking with the main hand and he is not left clicking and the player is holding our bunny hop item, now we can do stuff. Now to modify the player's velocity, we can just simply do p.set velocity, and this now takes in a vector. A vector is pretty much just a x, y, and z value right here. So for example, if I were to do 0, 1, 0, this will launch the player straight up. If I were to do 1, 0, 0, this will launch the player across the x coordinates. And if I do 0, 0, 1, this will launch the player across the z coordinates. There's actually one easy way we can actually calculate or, well, get the direction the player is facing at the moment, we just need to get the get player's location, or I like using get eye location, because that is always more precise by judging the way you're currently looking. And then from this, I can just do get direction. And the get direction, as you can see right here, returns a vector already. Now one more thing we can do, if you want the leaping ability to be stronger, you can just, after you get direction, put a dot multiply, and I'm going to put 1.5 here. So this will multiply the strength by 1.5x pretty much. And yeah, that is all you have to do. One thing I'm going to add even further that I want to include in this episode as well is playing a sound when a player uses this ability or this item. So what we have to do here is really simple. To play a sound, you can either do it two ways. Either you play the sound directly to the player by typing p.playSound, or if you want every player on the world that is close to the player to hear that sound, you just need to get the world of the player and then play the sound. This will now play the sound for every player on the server that is close to the player. So this takes a location input. So now let me just do p.getLocation again. And then we need to put in a sound. For this, I'm going to do sound dot, let's do dragon flap. That's basically just when the dragon plays his wing flapping sound. And now this takes in two float values. You can also do a sound category, for example. So if I do sound category, you can see a few values right here. This is pretty much just, if you go to options, music and sound, you have all these sliders right here. And I'm actually going to put this as sound category dot players. Now the next two float values, really simple. Float 1 is just the volume. This ranges from 0 to, I think, 10. The volume, well, self-explanatory, changes the volume the sound is being played at, but this also modifies the hear distance of the sound. So let's say if we put a volume of 1 right here, this will only be able to be fully heard like 16 blocks away. If you put this to 10, this might be heard like 100 blocks away. I don't know the exact values, but just so you know, it doesn't only make the sound louder to a volume cap, of course. It will not break your ears of the players, but this will also increase the distance the sound can be actually heard. So let's just put this at 1. The next float value is the pitch of the sound. This ranges from 0 to 2. So if I do 0, the sound will be really deep, and if I put it as 2, it will be really high pitched. So I think I'm going to keep this as 2 for now. So yeah, that is pretty much everything you need to do. We have the custom velocity here, and we have the sound that is going to play to every player on the server that is actually close to the player using this item. The only thing we need to do now is go to our main class, and actually you can copy down a line by doing Ctrl-D, by the way, in IntelliJ, and register the new event. So new item interaction listener, register to this. And let's see if the code we have written does actually work. Alright, so I'm already on the server. I just reloaded the plugin. So now if I go to survival mode, and let me just right click with the stone sword, you see nothing happens. Let me left click with the bunny hop, you see nothing happens. But now if I right click, you see the item ability actually works. It plays the sound as well. And you see, we get launched in the direction we are currently looking. This does not have a cooldown yet. That is one easy thing we can actually do though. So let me just instantly add the addition to this. So all we need to do, like that's a really small, hacky, but really well functioning way. What we can do here is add a new if clause here. So let's actually do this right here. So we can check if p.hasCooldown. Minecraft has added a cooldown system to the game with the 1.9 combat update. If you see right here, hold on, I actually need to summon a entity. So let's just summon a pig right here. Okay, it actually does not show. Oh, wait, so I'm sorry. It shows on the ender pearl, for example. So if I were to throw the ender pearl right here, and if I have 2 of them, you can see this cooldown animation right here. That is pretty much just this cooldown system. You can set and receive the cooldown that the player currently has for a given material. So if the player has cooldown on the bunny hop item, do nothing. And I should just copy paste this into here. And then what we have to do down here is really simple. We just p.set cooldown, then the bunny hop item, and then in ticks how long you want the cooldown to be. So let me just do 30. This will be 1.5 seconds of cooldown. So let me re-export this real quick and reload the server now. So now if I right click with the bunny hop item, you will see the cooldown animation plays. And if I spam my right click button, you can also hear and see that the ability only works if the player no longer has this cooldown. The only issue with this, if I give myself another rabbit foot now, you will see that both of these will actually go on the cooldown. Because the Minecraft cooldown system only checks for the item type, for the material of the item, and not like checking the display name, the lore, and everything else. So you have to keep this in mind, that it will actually put every single of the same item on cooldown. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you today. In next episode, we're actually going to cover the particle system. We're going to do 2 things. We're going to add a small particle effect to this item right here. And we're also going to do some passive walking particles if the player walks around. And we're also going to cover the permission system of Minecraft in that as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next Friday again. Goodbye.